So what are you doing right now?
What I'm going to do is basically we can see this as sort of a sketch, and I'm going to make a...
This is dry now?
This is sort of dry.
Yeah,
I did that yesterday. I prepared it for today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sort of a Grisaille underpainting.
Right.
And a textured one to showcase how exactly you work with the brush to get like nice and juicy textures and simultaneously still the right values.
Okay. And what colors do you have here then? Because you're more concerned with the dark light rather than necessarily specifically the right color?
Exactly.
Right.
So it's currently, that's the fantastic thing about it. You don't have to be concerned at all about the color. You can entirely focus on the values and the texture. So you sort of separate the workflow, which is just fantastic. So what I have here is just basically gradients between very light and sort of a middle tone. It should be a little bit darker than the base of the canvas. And I just mixed in, of course, whites, and then I mixed in some yellow ochre and some earth tones, which would in this case be raw umber.
And this you're now mixing with that painting medium about which we have made a school video.
Exactly. And everything has equal amounts of the medium in it.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, just a little dab of it.
Yeah.
And there's also some red in it to warm it up a bit, because it can get quite bluish cold, which would be closer to an original Grisaille, as the word says. But if you look at Rembrandt, for example, or even Titian, the underpainting they did wasn't really grey. It was sort of a warm yellowish.
Yeah, because you have these people making these videos. So here's how Rembrandt did it, and it's black and white.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So it just gives a beautiful base to then later on work with different tones on it, the glazes and stuff.
But you do think a little bit about what colors shall be applied later, so you don't take any kind of random color.
Well, I mean, the fantastic...
How you should use that in the later layers, I mean.
Well, the fantastic thing is I'm not tempted at all to use any color because I don't have any currently. So I'm not thinking about that at all in the moment. And as the pigments I'm later on using are quite transparent, I also don't have to worry about the value getting that much darker.
Right.
So the values stay quite the same, and with the transparent pigments later on for the glazes, it just gives this beautiful glow.
Okay, so just to understand the approach, you sort of fix the relations already in the first layer, then, more or less,
aspects of it, so basically. Yes.
Okay.
So it's just this play of layers, which I really enjoy, because it sort of emulates the skin. Because if I paint you can see this, the ground sort of as the first layer, and then you paint the Grisaille on top of it, and then you glaze over it. Then you can even scumble on it and glaze over it again. And then because all the layers are quite transparent, even this is actually quite transparent because we mix the medium into it.
Right.
The light just goes in and then bounces back, and it gives this really beautiful skin tone and variation of the amount of light that comes back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you start, but I just wanted to say that this is the first time I've really seen this type of medium and using it like this. But it does seem like the actual paint it's like it has more space or more depth. It's really you can see the juiciness of it. It's fantastic. Okay, so
shall we start?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Usually it's quite dangerous to go in either extreme, so usually I just start out with like the middle tones here.
Okay. Yeah.
Which you can always go lighter or darker, but it's good to just stay in the middle there for a bit. What I also mixed into the paint is a little bit of chalk, actually. Just to...
to get even more consistency.
Yes, just to thicken it up. And I sort of dab my brush in and push.
Yeah.
Like a good amount there, and then I just...
Oh, you don't really take strokes?
No, they're just very lightly...
really dabbling.
Yeah.
Dabbling in paint.
Exactly. So what you want to get going always with ice, it's not a tutorial on ice right now, but always go in the flow. So you always see in the Rembrandts that there is sort of a flow going.
Yeah.
And in order to catch the light in a realistic way, like you would see in the face, that's really important because it sort of emulates the pores which reflect the light.
Yeah. So you're actually then trying to not just imitate the value, but the structure of the skin.
Yeah.
By
yeah, exactly.
Not really pointillism, but I mean it has that vibrancy to it.
Yeah, and there's this fantastic painting in the Uffizi gallery from Rembrandt. It's a late Rembrandt of this Jewish rabbi.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can just see every brushstroke and like these short little brushstrokes, and then interlinking and sort of it's just beautiful.
Would you? So you're starting with a fairly small brush.
Well, in the context of this, it's actually quite big, I would say. But
okay.
This is the underdrawing is quite detailed, so I wouldn't normally start with such a detailed underdrawing. I just wanted to save some time.
Right.
So I'm usually going a little bit rougher, but the basic technique is sort of the same.
Okay. Yeah, there's something about that, understanding where you are, to not stress with this or that or whatever, but understanding that it's something that you're putting on there so that you can work with it in later.
Yeah, it's perhaps it's just my brain, but I really enjoy being able to focus on a specific thing in the beginning.
Like one task at a time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, that's why I always think it's very wise to not start with late Rembrandt right away. Or late Titian, because that's exactly what they did later on. They did all that in their youth, and later on they basically put it all together.
Yeah.
So did the values and everything. And of course, that gives the best results, but it's just not good for learning for beginners.
Well, I think there's all kinds of things that can go wrong. I mean, if you're working with the so-called rough manner, you might misunderstand and think that roughness per se is the point.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, of course, you have to tighten it. You look at things that Admiral is doing, or other painters have gotten to that stage. It's suddenly extremely exact. So
yeah, it's just this play between rough and then still the details and bringing everything together.
Mm. And now, speaking of that, of course, you are working with the classical variation between light and shadow, light being more active, and and you're trying to use the ground also where it works as an integral. Exactly,
the ground sort of acts like a middle value in that sense, and it's actually, in my mind, it's very easy to think. So you just have the middle value, and then you go darker from there, and lighter from there, and you have your darkest darks, like there is in the back in the eyebrow here, or in the eye here. Or you have your lightest lights, in that case, which would be the highlights or here on the bridge of the eyebrow. And then you just put it in relation to, so just see what this might be in relation to that.
Yeah.
And then adjust.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's going back and forth all the time, because one thing goes lighter and the other thing doesn't seem as light again, and then back and forth.
And another great trick I really like is, of course, if you just tap it out a bit.
Yeah.
Because the ground is darker, it sort of becomes gray as you make it thinner. It's just so fantastic. So you don't have to actually get the right tone here. You can also make the transition just by making a little
just taking tonal values and structure in addition. Thank you for checking out this video from the School of Apelles. To watch the full video and access our premium library, go to caveofapelles.com/subscribe and become a $10 patron. That's caveofapelles.com/subscribe.